similar strategy, but they played a little bit slower, right? They really didn't open up until after that mid game, where they start to find a bunch of those eliminations for themselves. But crucially, OUG is a team that knows how to be set up for a strong end circle. They are able to go out, they're able to find the gear that they need, they're able to find the soul jades that they need in that Aurora burst that does so much work for them there in the end. They also make it to the heal off with a Valda in their composition as well. And because of that, OUG turns this into an explosive game for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really impressive stuff from them. We just saw, like, poor Wolves. At the beginning of this game, it wasn't going their way, and then they just repeatedly were able to just find, like, revenge kill after revenge kill. Like, GG wiped them at Secret Tunnel, they come back and finish them up. Then DRG come in and third party that fight and take away a bunch of kills and take them out. And then Wolves come back and then get DRG in a different third party later. It really was a game of revenge, but Zinyu, that Aurora burst just so big there for OUG. You were very right. It was the key decider, and there it is. I can sleep well.
Really be playable in these trio scenarios, but now you're finding the Valda coming back in, which really gives you a clean opportunity to support that Monk as well as make it to heal off, have an alternate viable composition, if you will, for if something does happen to your Monk in the end, to still be able to find those points. And here we go. This is that crazy play we were talking about between OUG and the members of X1 here, where he realistically 1v2s. And look at this. This is before he swaps that Aurora Burst over to SS for OUG, and he's using this Aurora Burst to threaten the space, gets a clean carry here, and just plays this so smart. Originally, it's like the 1v2, and then we see all the members come in. He's waiting for the opportune moment too, right? He's so close to that ultimate. He just has to keep baiting this out, looking for some damage so he can get into that ult. He does get carried a little bit here down onto the juggle, but all the work he's put in pays off here as he's able to ult here. There's coordination as well. I'm sure he's talking with SS in that headset as SS finds that full reset, is able to come back in. SS comes in here with the huge damage. The Hottie uses the F there to actually mitigate the damage, but look at what SS does. He breaks away. He doesn't cover for the Monk here so that he can set up XLY for a clean execution. Because of this, X1 here doesn't really see the double grab potential coming in. They take a ton of damage. They're able to get the regrab here as well, doing even more damage.
But if you're at the top, if you're at the bottom end of the table, your first priority and everything, getting to 65 points is easier than getting to 70. So that world is very much there. Just having another look at a replay. I'm assuming we're having a couple of technical issues, hence why we are not into Hero Select yet. This is Alliance's fight versus KLA inside the Realm of Yang, and it's weird because we were so focused on the Valdas that we didn't really get to see much of the Zai action. But I mean, we've seen Zai so much free during the beginning of the split, and that was 70 points as well, so it's another 5 points over what we're doing now. But this time, because everyone is scoring relatively high, that slows down the odds of someone winning in game 4 incredibly low. They would have to pop off unbelievably hard in the next game and then win game 4 to be able to do that. So yeah, I think by the end of game 4 we should have probably 3 teams, I reckon, on 65 points. If everyone continues to score like they have, which has been, you know, high but evenly spread high between the top ends of the table. So it's going to be an exciting game, the next one. Right? The next game, you know, a lot on the line here for these teams.
Look at this, by the way. This is the 1v3 here by
so
KKG. Just insane. Goes so low, and against the odds, still comes out on top. They just needed to find a single hit on him there as we go back here. This is where Alliance absolutely just dumpsters that Realm of Yang. There's just no question that they come out on top there. Here in the end, yet again, N7 here, by the way. Look at this, N7 constantly finding the Soul Blooms to be able to get this ult back online. And again, he's going to throw a bunch of people out here, comes over, gets the Soul Blooms, gets the healing, keeps the ult online just a little bit longer, gets another Furin shove out, even though he gets parried here. AXO will come in and cleans up that elimination on him in the end, but it just doesn't matter, as Alliance has cleaned up so much. And a very well earned MVP coming in here for Alliance's Takeda from this game.
Started with them taking a fight versus Wolves, which they won very convincingly. So actually, I'm going to look at them again. This is also the Kakashi 1 versus 3.
Yeah, they're able to come in. They're able to clean up the 2-tick, get a really good R&B here. And look at this. Kakaishi just playing the slow game here, able to teleport away, waits, moves around the side here. This is where they set up a huge parry for themselves. They're just kind of baiting the timeout here. I don't think they actually come back and win a 1v3 here. I think they're just trying to run the clock out at 14 seconds. But look at this. Huge LMB into that massive parry onto Jing. Get a ton of damage, and then he comes out on top in a 1v3. We haven't seen it since, I do believe, 2 Jacobs ago. Absolutely wild coming out from him.
Yeah, it's obviously Wolves versus Alliance. We actually missed this one. This is where Alliance beat out Wolves. Spoiler. But it looks like it starts so well there. I mean, Zen getting the 3-man with the chain side, then opening back up, but it's the attention switch here from Wolves onto Zen, wasting a lot of his ult time, but also just forcing him onto the defensive is really, really big there for Wolves and for Alliance. And the moment Wolves are now ready to look to turn around, Zen's ult is just about timed out, and he can get one last little cone down, but it's not going to be enough damage. And Alliance is just able to punish off the back of this one. You can see they try and turn their attention towards revenge, but Wolves are very scattered at this point. Night Q going incredibly low meant Yuma was able to save his Kurumi. Revenge able to then kind of get some healing off, keeping the pressure up. But I think the problem is Wolves' target selection, and they're very scattered in this fight. Cost them heavily here. I mean, Revenge, I believe, goes down. Yeah, it does go down. But Wolves left with a 1 versus 2. Spent too long trying to deal with the Kurumi, and they only let Zen deal with it. I think the problem is if it had been a more coordinated effort to shut the Kurumi down, Wolves could have won that Royal Yang.
Yeah, it was just poor target selection. I think their plan fell apart. Sorry, their fan. I think their plan fell apart there after that initial huge cone where they came here. As we take a look at some replays here brought to you by Thunderbolt, JDG here in the early game onto WBG. That Dragon Tour putting in so much work for Jing. We see him do that quite a few times here. DRG, again, off to another really good start this game, just not able to translate it to a strong final circle in the end yet again. But DRG still having a very strong day for themselves. And Alliance here with this early engagement onto GG, this was huge. They were just able to put the whole team on the edge of that Temi ult coming outside of the realm of Yang there and clean up those eliminations. Unfortunately for them, they do get third-partied right after that. As we get over to EWG here, that Dragon's Rush into the Nezhas, putting in work for them as they turn on to JDG. JDG, luckily, with the Vermilion Birds, might keep their game alive. And then, unfortunately, for Alliance, yet again, JDG inside the realm of Yang, and they do not let happen what they had happen to them in game 1, and they get Alliance down to a single member and very quickly eliminate them as all 3 members dog him down. As we head over yet again, JDG in the end here separating OUG's the king, cleaning up elimination after elimination. The only elimination they let slide is a member of DRG who's able to get in the circle, able to use that Tessa.
It's actually quite low scoring from JDG. They had one massive pop-off game, and other than that, their average is actually under 10. So I genuinely agree. I think it's a very real possibility that if Alliance don't take it here, they'll have another shot at the title on their own without being contested by everyone else. Now, I'll be interested to see who actually wants to pop drop on Alliance, because typically, one
that has not gone well for anybody today.
Yeah, and one team swallows that bullet, but at the same time, it's you might just be handing them the gun. You might just be giving them the snowball start they needed. Because Alliance, they are consistently good in the early game, consistently good in the mid game, and consistently good in the end game. I mean, they've only been able to take a single MVP performance, so maybe you could argue their late game needs a bit of work. But their early and mid is terrifying right now.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Here's X1 in the end here, man. This is crazy. Peak comes out of nowhere.
It's just clinging to a rock.
Look at this. I had no idea Peak was even up here from the angle that we were casting, and just comes in and cleans it all up. He's like Peter in Hunger Games. 4 teams. There could even potentially be 5 teams, depending on how well the scores go through. Then you're suddenly into, you're into game 7 territory. You're having real concerns about that. So it's really all to play for Alliance going forwards here. Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this next game plays out. But they do still have 9 hero points. and realistically, the most they are going to have to spend is 6 in this next game. So even if it does go to Game 7, they actually still have that 3 hero points we talked about them potentially having just for Game 6. They're actually in a fairly good position in terms of being able to pick and play teams that they want to have the best possible game they can. I don't know if I'm Team Alliance if I pick Sand Siphon into the next game. You know, we talked about in the beginning here that I think there was actually kind of a big brain play here to leave Sand Siphon open all the way to the last pick, because it kind of gives you a guarantee that you know any Sand Siphon you see has a huge likelihood of being Team Alliance, which when JL sees that Sand Siphon early on, that's why they lock on and they do not let it go, because they don't know that it's Alliance that they kill 100% for sure. They have an inkling, but the more information you can give yourself,
the party you, and then suddenly you lose all of your progress at the beginning of the game, and this is it, WBG. Alliance were not decisive enough on their fight versus EWG. Cookie gave them the complete runaround. Like, Cookie was really, really good at duking them there. And then after that, it was just, you know, it was the WBG tidy up, and Alliance then had to spend the next 5 to 8 minutes of the game catching up with everyone else in the lobby on loot. And they weren't getting the kills. They slowed down their progress. They slowed down their snowball. They weren't able to even look at jumping into Realm of Yangs. And that's the issue. You know, if you go down early, it's okay, as long as it's really early. Like we saw GG do in the first game. Like, go down early, reset, get back into the game. If you go down, like, midway or towards the end of the resets, you're in trouble, because now you basically an entire zone behind and the rest of the lobby.
Yeah, I mean, this was a tough game given the composition that they were playing too. Going down in the spot that they did hurt them, but I think they made a phenomenal recovery. Honestly, to pick up the number of eliminations that they did, like I think this became a game for them where it was like, okay, hey, realistically, I don't think we can win, because they certainly could have come in and just tried to throw face into it. But into KLA setup here, I think they had to play for the end game in this circle here. They had to look for that tactical nuke off of the Viper. And again, it all comes down to another team that wasn't even aiming for them.
You know, a lot of teams have really stepped up this year. Alliance definitely are the kind of like the biggest standout of that. But I just think the improvement across the board, like, I mean, remember this is the whole year GG finally won a split. Yeah, and I know right now they're looking maybe a little bit underwhelming. They have gotten to that match point threshold, but I haven't really seen any life from them since doing it, and that's because they've passively got to that point. They haven't taken that MVP yet, so, you know, a little bit underwhelming. But, you know, this year in general, we have just seen so much improvement. Alliance have looked absolutely amazing. DRG have kind of stopped being, actually a bit like what you were saying, they've stopped being a grief team, because they used to just grief J-Team. Like, I don't know what grief they have for J-Team, but like, these guys would just hot drop on J-Team every game and lose the game for it, but also make J-Team lose. I don't want to know what went down. Someone said something about someone's mother, and they took it personally. But DRG, they've stopped that griefing, and they've really focused on their own game, and they are looking vastly improved off the back of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's been such a good year for the league in general. I think the skill floor of the entire league has drastically risen this year. Oh my goodness, Jake! Do you know what this is? Yeah, we're going to take a look here as Thunderbolt brings us those final replays of the season, and it's all going to be taking a look here at Team GG again. It's pretty poetic for 3:30 to end this out and clutch it all together playing Monk here. Again, talk about those this right here. Yeah, absolutely insane for him to be able to get his hands on this, turn things around.
It's one of those mechanics where, like, I know that this is a mechanic that Monk can do. He can grab Farah out, but it's one I just never see. It's one of those, like, genuinely very hard to do tricks, and again you see just grab after grab after grab after grab, and obviously this time you can't grab UHS as he transforms, but like consistent grabs coming in from 330, and highlighting why back when Monk was the meta character, the best character in the game, 330 was one of the players to watch. So consistently good.
This fight here, unfortunate. I mean, GG just absolutely dominated this final game in the end here. And I do say, I think DRG actually throws in this final circle, right? I think they just needed to aggress on. There was one Monk, one Valda left in the lobby. You have to assess that that's the win condition. If Valda goes to heal off, you just can't win the game.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. It was honestly, LXM played that final circle really well. Like, because there was actually a moment where you see 330 kind of forced to transform earlier than this. So they didn't have that transform for that final circle. But LXM held that ult until the last possible moment. Pops it, has the extra sustain. They ult there 13 seconds before they've ended the game. Make sure they have all the extra health to work with, and no one beats them at that point. LXM played that absolutely stunningly. Really clean game from him. And you're not beating him in the heal off, baby. Down you go. LXM wins the series and wins the day and the split for his team on that Valda.
Yeah, it's GG. There.